And in previous videos, we talk about how expensive California is, and then we explore some topics concerning home selling, home buying, and some other topics that are of particular interest in California. But as of today, we need to really talk about the cost of living and the rent prices in California that are really skyrocketing. And so today, that's why I decided to create a 10 top most expensive cities to rent in California. So let's just talk about it. To Long Beach, California. Yes, there are so many good memories that the people that we used to be in LA or that know California we have in mind. But yeah, unfortunately, Long Beach has become very unaffordable for renting homes, apartments, whatever you name it. The average housing price, rental price for Long Beach averages $4,107. Just something to keep in mind, and because you will see it during the whole list that we were mentioned in this video, that there are several cities within the Los Angeles County that are included. And Long Beach, of course, besides being beautiful, I guess they charge you extra money for a beautiful place, right? Of course, the sixth spot in our list belongs to Torrance, California. I don't remember very well if I mentioned Torrance during the other videos on this channel, but it's very interesting to see this on this list. So the average rent home price for Torrance is $4,876. Okay, not very much different to the previous spots that we have mentioned on the list. And then also another interesting fact about Torrance is that, just little reminder, Torrance belongs to the let's say a coastal city in the Los Angeles metropolitan area. So that will make Torrance, California the second or the third city that we will mention on this hot spot list. So you know, definitely Los Angeles has a very you know, a rent issue when it comes to home rent prices. Alright, so the fifth spot in our list belongs to Burbank, California. So for the people that would previously live in LA before, or that are very familiar with California, we all know that Burbank belongs to Los Angeles, California. And we mention, or we need to mention, Los Angeles in a little while in another spot of our list. So that's something that we really take in mind, because Burbank in particular is claiming to have not any kind of rent control, and there are so many controversies about this. On a personal level, I do believe that at some point homeowners don't really need to have a rent control system, because I feel like whenever the government put their hands on people's pocket is when the really the problems arise. As long as there are no very severe increases that are not really adjusted to the price of living, then that's another thing for another topic in another video. But that's what I sincerely think. And of course I did my homework, and I did found some examples, or some very good examples, for these rent prices. So I found a particular home for rent in this location that has, I mean, it looks very nice in the outside. It's a 3-bedroom 2-bath home for 1,934 square. Not a lot of piece of land, let me just say, just start, not a lot for the price. And then also you know, the fun part is that, I mean, it looks nice, it looks like it has a very good painting, it looks like It has a very nice area in the back of the house, especially if you have children, so that they can play. But I mean, it doesn't even mention too, I was checking, it doesn't even mention what's the year of the house, like what's the year it was built, because that has a lot to do with the amenities that you can usually enjoy for a home to be rented. It doesn't mention the year, but I feel like it should. I'm not saying, yeah, I feel it should. And it's not a regular rent. It's a 12-month lease. And then it looks close to private schools and everything. But I feel like for $6,000, you can definitely get something with more bedrooms, more bathrooms, and with obviously a larger lot on any other rural or not too mainstream areas of California, or even some other states with better conditions. So just something to keep in mind in case you want to go and live in a place like Burbank. Yes, Los Angeles couldn't be missing on any expensive list in US data. So Los Angeles average a price of $5,229 for an average home rent price, or even apartments too. And there's a very interesting fact about Los Angeles. So Los Angeles is considered to raise 136.7% more expensive rent costs considered to compared to other areas of the US, more than the national average. So consider that 136 times more than the average rent cost. That's a lot. It should be illegal at this point. It's just getting out of hand. And obviously I did my research on this one too. Let's say you can so many insane examples include this home that I found in what is called the Playa del Rey location in California. Very nice location, right close to the beach, right? That's something to consider. But what do you get? So you get a 2-bed, 2.5 bath for 1,820 square. That's a very tiny lot. And what do you need to pay? So you need to pay $6,850 a month. So that's $6,850 a month for a 1,000, basically a 1,000 square feet home. It's a very tiny home. I mean, it looks like, it has at least the minimum requirements, the cooling, it's working, but it doesn't have very much to offer besides the location, I would say. So that's what probably you might be buying at this point. But I think, the price is very inflated, and that's what I think. It's not an ultra luxurious home to charge that much money a month. And just remember that you need to pay 3 times the rent on the first month before you can even rent this home. So you will at least pay $18,000 for renting this home up front. The average, the point here is the average American doesn't have the money to really spend their money on a home like this. You will need at least a lot of roommates, depending on how much you earn, right? But you will need a lot of roommates to really cover the cost of this rent. And then also something to consider is that Los Angeles is just getting out of control. It's just something there needs to be regulated. But yeah. Of course, you wonder why there are so many homeless people in LA, but then apparently politicians or even average people don't really imagine or don't really think that if you work for a very large corporation, You're basically earning minimum wage, and there's no way that you can afford a home like the one that we just mentioned. So it doesn't matter how many NGOs spend their money on trying to help these people, it will just never work. It will just never work because the homelessness crisis want to be solved, which is helping these people. Society needs to change, economic model needs to change in the cities, and so there's no way out. There's no other way to really win inflation by not creating more jobs and by accelerating economy. Alright guys, and of course the second spot in our list belongs to Irvine. So I don't remember mentioning Irvine in previous videos, but we definitely, all Californians agree that Irvine has increased its cost of living during the last years. And it's very interesting to see that now it's on the second spot. So let's say you can definitely find a home or an apartment on a range of price from $4,800 to $38,000 in rent monthly, excluding sometimes the utilities, of course. So this time I also did my research, and I found some very interesting example. Let's say if you want to rent a home, I found this home right here that has basically, it's a four bed, 4.5 bathroom and home for 2,882 square. And then basically it's a lease. Actually, it's not exactly like a regular rent. It's more like a 12-month lease, and it's up to them to find out that they want to renew the contract with you or not. And I don't know about other states, but when it comes to here in California, you need a lot of requirements, more than just 3 times your income. They need, of course, a credit score of 700 plus, and then pets are allowed, yes, at least, right, compared to the other examples that we mentioned. And then also I mean, it's a very nice home with very nice design. But the point here is that I mean, you really get a very small lot for what you're paying this time. For $7,300, you can obviously get probably double or 3 times this piece of land. You can get a 6,000 square home in any other parts of California, including like Inland Empire or some other rural areas. And then of course you can get more amenities and probably less requirements for rent. So this is something to really consider. Definitely Irvine is a very nice area with very nice cost of living there, but it's just something to consider. Then we talk about the top cities that are like the most expensive places to rent housing in California. But a lot of you might be wondering, what are really the solutions that some companies are offering to this housing crisis in California? So I found one of them that is actually very, very much particular and interesting. So one of them, it's a company named Brownstone Share Housing that operates a former bank in downtown San Francisco. So they've been operating for probably a little more than a year. And then the company has 300 people. So this is the process, right? There's 300 people that have been applying in order to get one of their housings. But this particular housing is very different, and it's something that you have probably heard of, some like within some other countries like Japan, like some other countries, so other populated countries in the world. And then of course San Francisco didn't have to be the exception to the rule. So basically it's a pod housing lifestyle. So basically they built several pods. It's usually you'll see it on the pictures. It's basically a coffin with some curtains, in which the only privacy that you have is those curtains within the coffin. That's how I call it, because it's a very, very tiny space to sleep. There are some, apparently, you'll hear it in the video, but apparently there are some common areas in which people can really spend some time with the other tenants from that same residential area. And then I just found it very, very unusual and very dehumanizing, guys, because I mean we've reached very extreme levels, to the point where I mean, you have two options, right? You sleep in your car, or you pay for one of these residential areas to stay in one of their pods. No hate on the owners. I mean, it's a brilliant idea to keep offering people, especially the young generations that cannot really afford a total home for themselves, or even with the help of some roommates. If you're working for a corporation, then probably you're making minimum wage, and just renting a whole home for yourself, especially on the Bay Area, doesn't look like a very bright option. So let's just listen to what they have to present us, this company, what they offer, and then we can talk about it.
People paying $700 to rent sleeping pods in San Francisco.
Well, the company running the site has been waiting for the city to grant them the right permits to reopen.
ABC 7 News reporter Luz Pena went back to their building and has an exclusive update for you. Luz?
Yes, Dan, San Francisco is the AI capital of the world, but not the housing capital of the world. In fact, we are far from that. This is one of the most expensive cities in the country. So if you want to be in the center of everything AI, it comes with a housing price for those who want to build housing and those who need it. In a city where the average rent price is $3,000 to $4,000 a month, sleeping in a pod for $700 a month is a deal.
I was living in the Presidio before and kind of looking for cheaper options just so I could keep working on the stuff I wanted to and working on open source projects.
The majority of people who live here have the same goal: build a tech startup and make it big. So paying high rent prices is not part of the equation.
I'm originally from Shenzhen, China, but I just graduated from University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and then moved here after graduation.
How did you find this place?
I found it through a friend. He actually lives here right now.
But after this housing concept went viral in 2023, many here were at risk of losing their housing because the city said the people running it didn't have the right permits.
There was actually never anything illegal about the pods. It was just that we didn't have a change of use because this building used to be a bank.
For the first time, we're hearing exclusively from the co-owner of Brownstone Share Housing, the company that runs the pods. We got a look inside the building, a place he said almost didn't survive because of how long the permitting process took in San Francisco.
But there were no safety concerns. There's really no construction that we had to do to improve the building.
After over a year, he's glad they finally have the right approval for the pods. We contacted the Department of Building Inspections, and they confirmed that on September 5th, the planning department issued a letter of approval for the sleeping pods. They also asked him to obtain paperwork for their shower stall and fix the front entry lock. The entrepreneurs inside hope the city makes the permitting process easier.
If this had existed 3 or 4 years ago, we probably wouldn't have lost so much early stage startups to Austin and Denver and places like that.
The company behind the pods is applying for a bigger place because if they have to wait another year for permits, might as well be for more than 30 pods.
So we're actually in the process of opening up a place that's about 5 times this size.
And the company behind the pods is planning to open their...
Listening to this video, I can really tell you guys that, okay, so they're planning on opening more other locations. So the reason why they're planning on opening more locations is just very simple. It's because they know they have a very high demand of people in need of housing, especially the younger generations. You just listen to it. If there were like the guys that were interviewed, they're very young, they just graduates. So they definitely need a market like this. You know, I know it sounds like a very dehumanizing experience, but let me know, guys, let me know your thoughts about this housing style. I mean, I feel like it's just an option, you know, it's just an option. Like, you're not forced to be there, but it's just an option for younger generations. And not even younger generations, you know, there are people, they can be 50 and plus, 50 and older, who cannot really afford a regular place. And they need to look for opportunities of housing opportunities. I also heard, because I was reading an article about this particular video in which they claimed that they needed to basically close this location at all, or close the company at all, or shut down the whole company, because they didn't have a good luck with the city permits, and in claims of several issues that happened in other companies that are very similar to this one. Some of them were blamed or claimed to have some allegations of sexual harassment, among so many other reasons. And there are some other locations in some other spots of California that are doing the same thing. I've found another testimony from people within the LA County. But before I forget, how much are these people paying for this pod in San Francisco? So I found that they are paying on average $700 a month. Apparently that includes the utilities. That might change, but I mean, $700 for a coffin, I don't know, probably you can get something like at least a studio apartment in some other parts of the country. Why not? I also found this video that we were about to watch right now in other parts of Los Angeles. I think it was on the Bay Area.
Numbering away, but she's not in her private bedroom. She's renting a pod with a whole bunch of strangers. Think co-ed dorm life for adults. It's called PodShare, and it's a new way to beat the high cost of living.
I loved it so much, I wanted to stay an extra month. You basically co-live with strangers who become your friends.
Elvina Beck founded PodShare.
The pods, twins here, there's 34. Each one has a nightlight, personal outlet with USB, and TV. There's no privacy allowed. I see you, you see me, we establish trust.
There are also 3 bathrooms, a large backyard, and community spaces like this stocked kitchen.
Over here is by pod number 1 through 22. Here's like snacks and, you know, if they want to cook things later.
Jeff Liguri has stayed at this PodShare in Venice Beach for 1 week. He says sleeping in a bunk with no privacy is no problem.
I need a place to sleep and a place to put my clothes, and I've got more than enough space for that.
Tyler Silver has lived here 8 months.
You meet a lot of people here.
A one-night stay will set you back $50. 1 month, a little over $1,000, which is cheap rent for this pricey beachside community.
The hardest part, I would say, yeah, probably the privacy at times, but it was just like the perfect location and also the perfect price.
In the previous video, we saw that they're paying $700. They're paying $1,000 for another pod, basically. And the main issue that they report is the lack of privacy. Yeah, of course, right? But I mean, the lack of privacy is just not something new. Just remember that if you're renting a home, or if you're buying a home with like 10 other bunch of people, you're basically sharing the same spot, and that leads to some issues, including the lack of privacy. And you saw that even the fridge, where it was divided into different parts, so then everybody had their own spot in the fridge. Again, it looks like something very dehumanizing, very unfortunate. I mean, let me know your thoughts, guys. What do you think about this housing lifestyle? Some people might just say, I would rather just stay in my car, you know. I just feel like as the recession continues, because I feel like we've been under a recession especially for the last years on a permanent recession, as soon as people might get to feel more the pressure of the very limited resources, they will explore more options to definitely look for options in housing, in their spending habits, and in so many other areas. So we will see what happens. This video, I hope you will find it really helpful, and then if you want to continue watching more videos like this, let me just remind you to hit the like button and subscribe to get more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.